10 most haunted places. 10. The Screaming Bridge, Ohio, USA. Those who have visited the Screaming Bridge in Ohio have been plagued by the screams of dozens of people who've died there. Particularly harrowing are echoes from the final moments of one woman who jumped from the bridge to escape an attacker. Unaware of the rail tracks below, she began to scream when she realised she'd inadvertently jumped to her death. The last conversation of a couple whose bodies were found nearby and the crying of a baby thrown from the bridge by its mother also haunt the air. 9. Ancient Ram Inn, UK. A British pub built on an ancient pagan burial ground was the site of child sacrifice and devil worship. Apparitions of monks, a shepherd and a centurion have all been seen by guests. Its owner has described being pulled by an invisible force from his bed and dragged across the room. Skeletons of young children have been found with blades still wedged into the bones, and 8 people who've stayed were supposedly forced to undergo exorcisms on leaving. 8. Chickamauga, Tennessee, USA. The spirits of soldiers killed in one of the Civil War's fiercest battles have been seen roaming the field in which they died. Following the 1863 battle, many of the dead were buried in mass graves where they fell. Visitors to the battlefield have seen a mysterious woman in a white dress who roams the field. She is thought to be the ghost of a woman searching for her fiancé killed in battle. The field is also home to Old Green Eyes, a soldier whose body was torn apart by gunfire. First reported in 1870, his green eyes can be seen floating through the air, searching for the rest of his corpse. 7. Monte Cristo Homestead, Australia. A mansion in Australia owned by one family for over 60 years is reportedly plagued by the tormented spirits of those killed there. Tragedies include the death of a pregnant maid who was pushed from a balcony and a young boy who burned to death when his boss set fire to his straw mattress. A baby was also killed after reportedly being thrown downstairs by an invisible force which pulled the child from a maid's grasp. 6. Houska Castle, Czech Republic. Folklore claims that a castle near Prague was built to cover a bottomless pit which is a gateway to hell. The 13th century King Ottokar offered a pardon to any prisoners who would dare to be lowered into the caves. The first to do so was heard screaming frantically. When brought to the surface moments later, he had been driven completely insane. Mysterious figures have been spotted all over the castle, from a chain of maimed prisoners to a hybrid creature resembling a giant frog. Disembodied chanting and mysterious moving objects have also been reported. Adolf Hitler is said to have believed the stories, even instructing a scientific team to visit the castle to investigate the reports. 5. Tower of London, UK. Screams of executed prisoners supposedly echo round this political prison in London, where ghosts have been seen reenacting the moments of their deaths. The beheaded wife of Henry VIII, Anne Boleyn, is one of the most famous ghosts. Her decapitated body paces the tower's chapel and floats near to the scene of her execution. 2 young princes believed to have been murdered by their uncle have also been seen. Cowering in a corner, their ghosts are seen holding hands in fear. The strangest ghost is to be the spectre of a huge bear. In 1816, a guard reported being charged at by the animal, plunging his weapon into its side, only to go straight through it. 4. Chateau de Brissac, France. The ghosts of a murdered adulterous couple are said to haunt the 15th century French castle in which they died. When her furious husband killed Charlotte de Brise and her lover, they made sure never to leave him in peace. Their disembodied, agonising screams eventually drove their killer from his home. Known as the Green Lady, guests to the castle claim her ghost resembles a rotting corpse with gaping holes where her eyes and nose should be. 3. The RMS Queen Mary, moored in California, USA. Around 600 ghosts reportedly roam an ocean liner nicknamed the Grey Ghost. One ill-fated passenger who was murdered aboard the ship has been known to physically attack those who visit it, leaving slap marks on their skin. Also used to transport the military in World War II, soldiers were subject to poor conditions. Thanks to severe overheating, at its worst point, one soldier was dying every 7 minutes. In 1942, the Queen Mary collided with a smaller ship, breaking it in half and killing over 300 people. Visitors on board have heard the incident happen since then, reporting ghostly screams for help. 2. Eastern State Penitentiary, Pennsylvania, USA. Inmates were driven insane by torturous guards in this 19th century prison. Punishments included being ducked in frozen water and strung up outside and being confined to straitjackets for hours at a time. Shadowy figures have been reported since the 1940s, with even its most infamous resident, Al Capone, claiming to be haunted by one of his murdered victims. Cackling, screams and slamming doors have all been heard coming from the cells, while the apparitions of executed prisoners have been seen recreating their final steps on the death row corridor. 1. Waverly Hills Sanatorium, Kentucky, USA. This was a tuberculosis hospital before it became a sanatorium, and ghostly children have been heard singing nursery rhymes from the roof and playing games with balls in the wards. Scarier still is the spectre of an old woman bound in chains who's been seen with blood dripping down her arms before disappearing into thin air. The most haunted area of the hospital is in the nurses' station, where one nurse jumped from a window and another hung herself. Their voices can be heard in the room ordering intruders to leave.